damn it! Ah! It just won't fucking die! Lock the door! Lock the door! I hope you wait to open up the labs as we return to Heaven Dust 2. So, Heaven Dust 1 was an interesting little indie game on Resident Evil in a more top-down perspective. Minus the tank controls, it inspired clearly a lot of nostalgia from the era of survival horror in the PS1 era. PS1, Dreamcast, and such. And Heaven Dust 2 definitely takes, well, Heaven Dust 1 was just a very minor, like, how could I say, a simplification of a lot of those elements. Heaven Dust 2 would take all that and complicate it all in a good way, Heaven Dust 2 adds an array of guns, which you basically didn't have in Heaven Dust 1. So now you have different gun types dealing with different ammo types, along with the ability to customize those guns. On top of that, you also have grenades, 2 types in fact. And with all these, they add several new zombie types, which in the original you just had zombies and a boss. Now you have different types of zombies on top of a few different boss fights. So they definitely expanded a lot more while keeping still much of the nostalgia and the exploration, finding keys and solving puzzles and things. They kept a lot of that stuff still in the game. Now, of course, adding a lot of this stuff does make Heaven Dust 2 suffer a similar problem that other Resident Evil games did, where it started becoming a little bit more action-oriented in a way in certain entries. And depending on your skill, saving ammo, and finding all the stuff, because there's a lot of good hidden shit in this. There's a lot of good hidden stuff that you could easily miss if you don't explore very well. That there's lots of backtracking things and that. So, like, honestly, like, the game is really a big improvement overall, and you can of course make the game harder. Unlike the original release, you have a casual and a normal mode. You can also unlock export mode, though I'm not 100% sure if you have to play normal mode to be fair. It does tell you unlock export difficulty after finishing the game, but it only says on normal, so I'm going to assume you need to play normal for that, so you can get a export mode where it is even more difficult. Honestly, normal, I'm not a survival horror expert. I usually have to really fucking kill most shit and stuff and that. I have my drawbacks. I love the genre, but I'm also definitely not an expert at it. I did end up beating normal with plenty of spare gunpowder to make ammo and stuff. So, on that front, I would say normal is probably going to be still too easy for most veterans of the series. So, if you really want to get that harder mode, you'll want to unlock export and give that a shot. Now, I am getting a little bit of ahead myself, though. I didn't even get to introduce how the story goes. So, we again are in the shoes of Steve, who was the victim of being experimented on at the previous location, who has now been taken to this facility, and now you have to escape the nightmare all over again. You get contacted by a man named Alexander. Yeah, I know. And you're led through a facility that you're trapped in and being told and spoon-fed information of what happened to this facility, why you're here at this facility, and what's going on around it and related to the people who also kidnapped you and such. The game features 2 endings and a lot of homages to Code Veronica in Resident Evil 2, personally. This one drew a number of inspirations from those, in my opinion. And away are the vending machines that were in Heaven Dust 1, so customizing your character with additional powers has been basically, I'd say, traded out with customization of your guns, because that in itself does give you some unique traits to your armaments based on how you customize some of them. Not all guns are customizable though, but you do get a fair number of different firearms, customizable and non-customizable, so you'll get a lot of options, and there's a lot of them to be found, some secretive and some more obvious than. But generally you will have a machine type gun, a shotgun, and a handgun. And the shotgun is actually necessary to have a shotgun because you need it to blow open certain doors, and you'll also need it for combat because some of the new special zombies will tend to give you more trouble than what the regular zombies in the original game did, along with grenades. I don't want to spoil too much about the special zombies, but you will basically need to take advantage of your new weaponry to deal with them. So you'll have to learn them. And the game does a pretty good job of continuously spoon-feeding new types throughout the facility. As you backtrack and forward track and everything, you'll definitely be going everywhere, especially if you're wanting to get all the items, special gear, and such. Now, there are some uniform outfits you can get. These are cosmetic for the most part, aside from a few times where you'll need to change for gameplay purposes. But aside from that, they don't actually offer like any bonuses to your character themselves. Like, you know, you don't get like magical strength or defense or such for wearing them. And there's even an unlockable one you can get. There's a few little really hidden secrets that will apparently Kickstarter related things, along with 2 codes that I'm aware of that I got to test out in this. Now, as I mentioned, there was gunpowder, and using gunpowder, I believe that was introduced in Code Veronica, if I remember correctly. But you will find different types of gunpowder that you can mix to help create new ammo, which, in a similar vein to the original, except now you can obviously make ammo for the different type of guns you get, including magnum ammo. Ooh, yes, nice. The herb system is still the same. You got green and red herbs to combine into mixed herbs, and you have painkillers to provide medkit-esque type healing. A new item that ain't puzzle related are spores. Spores are basically your version of gunpowder for your grenades. When you find them, they'll allow you to produce the 2 different type of grenades that you can get, the fire and electric ones, which both have their uses against special types of zombies, and are best to usually save for those. Now, just like the original game, or pretty much any kind of survival horror game, there are lots of items, keys, and things to toss and turn and flip around and entering codes and everything all over the place of the facility to progress forward. And the game does a pretty decent job of continuously providing catches of ammo in that. Later on, you'll get like a key card that lets you access to these special chests that are for a retrieval team that you can find throughout the facility. You'll see some of them way before you get the key card, and it encourages you to go back and get those supply catches and that to keep yourself well supplied. The game does a pretty fair job of keeping you well armed, and that, in my opinion, as long as you do halfway decently, competently in fighting. A nice little thing I have to say about the game, considering you do get different guns that use the same type of ammo, is that you can inject the ammo out of a gun so you can put it in another gun. So that's actually nice, so you're not like permanently losing ammo in a gun. Because I know there were several times in Resident Evil games where it's like, well, I need to use the ammo in this so I don't waste it and then store it and never touch it again because I got a barrel gun. Like, I've definitely seen that issue before, so I have to say that is a small little thing I think was a nice touch. Now, the game forgone the kind of little in-game achievement system that the Force game had, and it just completely just has all the gameplay stuff, so you don't have to worry about any of that good stuff. You still have tons of documents you can find throughout the facility, and with the vending machines being gone, you just get the map as you play the game, as opposed to previously. So you'll get together your map as you progress the game, like most survival horror game, and as opposed to buying it from a vending machine. Now the map is a pretty decent size as you fill it out, and it's interesting that it does actually note items on it, but it does seem kind of bugged. Like, I've had a few items get kind of like permanently left on there. Like, there was a red orb that I gathered long ago that has remained on the map for some reason, so some of the things do seem be a little bit bugged in that regards, but that's not a major amount of things. There's only a few that I noticed on my map that stayed, and overall don't hinder the game, just slightly annoying if you don't remember, like, if you got that object or that before. Overall, Heaven Dust 2 is just a big upgrade from the previous. Overall, if you played the original, you'll pretty much be at home here. It is a lot of the same stuff. And it does a very good job of Metroidvania, the stage to go back and forth between areas you've been to and places that you're going to, and that, like, it is methodically pretty nicely all well built, as you'll find many places return to old places you've been in that, which again encourages you to find many of the secrets and hidden stuff that all around the game. Now, combat was given a little bit of a Resident Evil Outbreak touch to it, where in the original Heaven Dust you had to stay still. You can now actually move while aiming and use the sticks to turn and face other enemies in that. So you do also get that on top. Overall, though, other than that, like, aesthetically, it's all been upgraded nicely. Music is good. Aesthetics look good. Like, honestly, it's overall really, really good, in my opinion. And unlike the original, I feel like I don't really remember seeing anything that popped up as being Englished as much as the first one did in a few parts. They did a much better job at putting English into this one. Overall, I didn't find or encounter any actual problems like the original game. You do get some unlocks when you finish the game. Plus, if you have completed data for Heaven Dust 1, actually I'm not really sure if it's completed data or just data of Heaven Dust 1, to be fair, but upon starting Heaven Dust 2 after doing Heaven Dust 1, I did have an additional pistol and a Special Force uniform awaiting me in my storage box. But after finishing it on normal, I got a AK-47 along the ability to have infinite ammo for heavy, pistol, and shotgun. So you do get some additional bonuses after finishing the game too. The Special Force uniform, needless to say, is a classic tailored security uniform, as the game describes it, clearly an homage to Leon Kennedy's raccoon police officer outfit from Resident Evil 2. Overall, I really liked what they did with this, and I really hope the creator is looking into a third entry, because the game ends in a way where they could continue making a series out of this. And considering, like I said, other than the drop and tank control style gameplay, everything else is still there. Digging around for shit and stuff, surviving and that, and the more bigger library of different zombie types to challenge your survival skills. Things are way higher stakes than they were in the original, in a much more complicated system in this. Now, some bugs I encountered, there's an underground tunnel line you can get on, and there was an incident where I was trying to save ammo by running away from some enemies, and they chased me, and one of them simply vanished while another got stuck in place when I went back. So it did end up saving ammo, but it caused a really weird effect. As I already mentioned, some icons remain on the map even after you take said item, and one of the characters in one of the endings kinda doesn't really help you as much as you would think they should. Not really sure if it's a bug, to be honest, or if it was a design so they don't end up doing all the work. The character kinda, how should I say, it was kind of weird to me. That so similar to the last game. Also, if you even have the slightest of stick drift, you're going to have problems aiming. This game does not forgive you for having stick drift. So pull out your non-stick drift control for this one, because it's going to give you a lot of problems. Now, how much would I give for Heaven's Dust 2? Now, Heaven Dust 1 originally is basically $8 on PC. And oddly enough, unlike Heaven Dust 1, this one did not make it to Microsoft. It's only on Switch as of right now, console-wise. Now, luckily, it did not feature a bizarrely different price point in that situation, as Steam and the Switch version are the same price for this. And again, there was no DRM free option that I can find for Heaven's Dust 2, sadly. But it is a $14.99 game in its normal digital format. And I honestly think $15 is a really good steal for the game. Honestly, I actually could go with $20 on this one, $19.99. This is kind of like, you know, I recently made a video talking about we need these more middle-of-the-road games that aren't big AAA shit that fit a more $20 to $40 price range. And I feel like Heaven's Dust 2 would actually kind of honestly be okay, like $19.99 type title for like a Japanese sample series type entry or something. Like, I think it honestly is a huge improvement over where Heaven's Dust 1 was a very simple take on the genre, where Heaven's Dust added a lot more complications and elements and other things, more guns and such, and more survivability, and definitely more enemies. Like I said, the more enemy variety is much appreciated for the survival fun, because I mean, like I said, aside from the one boss in the first game, all the zombies were just different skins in the first game, so it was a much appreciated thing. And for all that effort, I think this is actually a game, I feel like it's underselling itself. So its $15 price tag is a big steal in my opinion. And sadly, for those who want to get a physical version, the only physical version that's ever been made of this so far was the Heaven Dust Collection, which is 1 and 2 for $38.21 USD from Super Whale Games, which is long sold out. And honestly, this is, in my opinion, one of the better titles I've played from Super Whale games. Now, I've had several games that I've liked from Super Whale, but there's also several that sometimes I feel like might be kind of overpriced, like Super Whale games and premium games. I feel like kind of chunk up on their prices a bit. Now, to be fair, in the case of Heaven Dust Collection, you're getting 2 games, and to be fair, there's been a few later releases Super Whale Games has done that are collections, which are very nice to see, because they definitely make that more premium price more understandable sometimes for some games. Honestly, for Heaven Dust 1 and 2, its original price of being $38 American, not counting the really expensive shipping because it's a European company. Honestly, that's not a bad price. I mean, that's That's a little under $40 for 2 games, and they're pretty decent survival horror games, honestly, for little indie games. That I think that's a really nice price. But as I said, it's sold out. So if you're wanting to buy this game now, the bad news is on eBay it's going for easily around $80 in the reasonable range, and then of course you got the several people with it listed above 100, hoping some sucker buys that. So yeah, this is probably not going down anytime, because like I said, this is one of the more better ones out of the super rare games I have played. This is definitely one of my more favorite ones that I've played through. So yeah, I don't think this is going down, sadly. So if you want the physical version, you're going to be paying a lot more than fucking $40, sadly, unless you get real lucky or something. But keep it under your eBay fucking watch list then. But like I said, you can also get digitally. They're both decently priced digitally there, but honestly, it's a bit shame there is no DRM-free option for the game, which really sucks, to be honest, because it's a personal thing. You know, a lot of you for the PC side, you know, probably don't really care about getting on Steam, but you know, I'm a very ownership type person, so I don't really like going that route myself, and definitely like recommending the option to do the free storefronts and such. So I'm sad to say that I am unaware of any, so it's a bit of a shame. I feel sorry that I can't really recommend a DRM free option for this game, because I feel like they should have that kind of option, but they just don't for some reason. It's a shame. And basically, unless somebody else picks up these for like a physical version, which could happen. I mean, one of Super Rare Games' super earlier titles in their company's history had a new physical version. Actually, 2 of them have had new physical versions, actually. Well, actually, wait. Well, I think I think Limited One only did a PS4 version of that game, actually. So, But I do know that one of the really early games did get a retail version in America, which did cause a lot of controversy, actually. But honestly, probably not very high odds of getting a physical version anytime soon. So yeah, bit of a shame, because this one I would really recommend actually grab if it was still in stock at Super Rare Games. So it's a bit of a shame on that front. But yeah, I recommend it. If you've been wanting a good survival horror game, Heaven Dust 2, I think, is a great middle ground, where Heaven Dust 1 is just a nice introductory of the dev getting into the mix of it. So it's really nice to get both games as one. Now, as far as I know, there is no collection option for the eShop. There is a bundle option on Steam. The bundle option on Steam gives you a 10% off, and that makes it $20.68, which essentially basically makes Heaven Dust 1 $5 basically, instead of being $8, to put it simply. Not a huge discount, it's just a few dollars off, but hey, it's a little bit of a discount. Anyway, with that, let's go into the spoilers. So, Heaven Dust 1 ended with Steve either escaping or being kidnapped in that, and the bad ending of Heaven Dust 1, well, I mean, there were worse endings. There's the one where you actually die in a mansion too, but the somewhat not as bad ending, but not as good ending as completely escaping, not being caught. Heaven Dust 1 ended with you getting escaped, but caught immediately. And you get transported to this facility, and Alexander basically lets you out in hopes of kind of... Initially, he was trying to backstab the company to do his own things, because he got demoted and shit, and then everything went to hell, and then basically he tries to use you to further his agenda and get away and stuff and that. But while helping you, like whether he was really helping you or not, it's kind of subject because there's no voice acting in that, so it's kind of hard to know whether he was being honest and trying to help you while doing his agenda. I'd say he was probably just using you, honestly. But anyway, depending on the endings, you can either escape by helicopter by faking being one of the special soldiers that was sent to go kill Alexander, or you can escape underground with the female lead character and escape through the tunnels and escaping the town that way. Both of these endings leave the main character out of the facility. The helicopter one is kind of the worst of the two, because it kind of has some problems. But the other ending, you and your female companion both escape unharmed and could lead to more shenanigans. And I'd love to see a Heaven Dust 3 or just a whole new setting or something. I mean, honestly, like if they use Heaven Dust 2 or even expand even beyond that, like honestly, this dev did a lot of good work with Heaven Dust 2. It's a big lift from Heaven Dust 1. And don't get me wrong, Heaven Dust 1 is a okay game. It's not awful. It's just a lot more simple, hence why I would give it a lower price thing for itself. But Heaven Dust 2, I think, is a much higher up there with better production and everything and that. So definitely recommend checking out Heaven Dust 2 if you're just looking for a good survival horror game. If you want to check out the series, like I said, they're both there. First one is not mandatory for Heaven Dust 2, but, you know, can add a little bit to it, yeah? So, and with that, I bid you adieu. Maybe next time in the survival horror, maybe we'll check out some of that, I think it was called Outbreak, which was supposed to be kind of like a torch to the Resident Evil Outbreak series. That one has a lot of controversial history. There's like about 5 of those games, but yeah, that one has a lot more controversial development history. And as someone who was in Resident Evil Outbreak's fan servers when the first entry of that game actually was being advertised on Steam, like honestly, I got some interesting stuff to say about that, but we'll have to check that out another time. Anyway, stay safe out there on the streets, and hope you don't get nuked.